During the first 9 years of my life, we didn't go to church. We didn't have anything to do with Jesus.
When did faith become real for you?
High school was tough. You're always trying to fit in. Jesus really wasn't a priority. One of my buddies that I sat next to in high school decided to commit suicide. Evangelizing in every public school might be the most important thing that you do. That's the great part about Jesus. He's overcame everything, and if Jesus did it, you can do it too.
I know there's going to be people out there like, there's something going on. I don't want to have this difficult conversation. Why is it worth it?
If we haven't talked anything through, we would not be together right now.
Connor, thank you so much for coming on the So What's the Point podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Glad that you could sit down with us today and just talk through a little bit of your life and kind of some of the experiences you've had and what you're doing today. So I just want to start by kind of asking you a little bit about your childhood. Just kind of the family that you grew up in, that environment coming up to where you are today.
During the first 9 years of my life, we didn't go to church. We didn't have anything to do with Jesus, and my parents didn't even know who he was. And they got invited one day and came in. They absolutely love Brook, and that by that time we were at the high school.
Yep.
And we just loved it. We stayed throughout the greenhouse and the fairgrounds, pretty much everywhere. And 12 years later, we're still sitting here. So
What was life like before coming to Mossbrook?
the change I've seen in the life before Jesus and the life after, not only myself but my parents too, were completely different. There were so many things that we were living in worldly views on. Like, we'd listen to music that would have swears in it.
Sure.
And my parents thought it was funny every time I would say something like that.
Sure.
We say OMG a lot and do all these different things that were sins in God's eyes, but we didn't know that at the time. So then when I was around 8 years old, we decided that we were going to church for the first time, and things radically changed in not only my life, but my parents' life, mainly because I didn't really understand anything at the time. I didn't understand what Jesus was or how he was. And I had a good children leaders.
Sure. Yeah.
Kids group.
Yeah.
And they were really good at helping explain. You got all those little books and whatever. But all those music songs that dad and mom liked, they were completely gone. I remember specifically my mother one day, we were going home and I said OMG. And she said, Connor, you shouldn't use that. And I was completely confused. I'm like, Mom, I've said that my whole life and you never told me to say it.
Right.
Not to use it. Like, what's the difference now? And I was 8 at the time, so I didn't really understand it. But now, going back to look at it, it was my mom radically changing into what Jesus wanted her to be in the beginning of my life. So yeah, that was awesome.
Was there any other specific moments kind of in that area of your life, maybe through 8, 9, 10, that you really realized that there was radical change in not just your parents, but yourself?
I'd say definitely for me, I wanted to listen to that music a lot. Like, that was my jam. Still, even at this point, I love listening to sort of that music, but without all like the swears and all that stuff, But for me, definitely, I love dancing to it. When I was a kid, I loved singing to it, and man, I wanted to listen to that stuff so bad. And then we started listening to Christian music. We listen to a lot of Toby Mac, and it just completely changed my whole outlook on me dancing, my music.
But music's played a huge role, it seems, in your childhood, and still to this day you really like it. Was that something that you said your parents really like music? Is that something that you kind of got from them?
Yeah, there's just something about rhythms that I love with that sort of thing. And with my parents, Their music styles were completely different. So
Mm,
I absolutely loved every sort of genre they had going
mm,
on, whether that was country or rock or everything like that. But mainly, as soon as they started listening to music about Jesus and about God, I just immediately clicked to that. And that was kind of
mm,
sort of my connection with God, even though I didn't understand what that was at the time.
mm,
So that was definitely a big role
mm.
in it.
What were a few artists that you like listening to back in the day?
Yeah, so definitely Toby Mac was one.
Okay.
Chris Tomlin was another that I
Yeah.
really liked. Jeremy Camp was one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
yeah, awesome.
those were our three that we mainly listened to until we started diving deeper into it.
Mm.
And yeah, that was definitely some of my favorite ones at least.
Now I've gotta know because I'm into this. What were some of the artists you listened to before Christian music?
Dad listened to a lot of heavy rock. So whenever I would
Okay.
go to school, I would either listen to like Ice Ice Baby by Vanilla Ice. I know that's more rap, but
Yeah.
he used to listen to Alice in Chains, which
Okay.
I really loved
Hmm.
back then. Um, Mom used to listen to people like Lady Gaga,
Mm.
and I'm trying to think who else. Uh, there was this one song that we really loved going to school every day. Me and Anna used to play it all the time. It's Titanium by Sia or whatever. I
Okay.
I don't know if like anybody knows that because that is such an old song. But me and Anna used to rock out to that back in the day. And um all those songs that we used to listen to, we barely listen to anymore,
Yeah,
But I know that's kind of with the times changing and stuff like that. But
true.
um definitely just within my own life too, we um, definitely changed it to a lot more Christian
Mm.
music that we listen to now.
Do you listen to a lot, like, let's just say over the last month, have you listened to a decent amount of kind of over the last month or not so
Of
much?
what? Like,
Just general music.
oh my gosh, I rack up so many hours of music.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
y- I don't know. It's like I got like Evelyn always tells me I got like a radio in my head, and I'll I'll just come up with like music lines that she hasn't heard in like 5 to 10 years,
Hmm.
and that will like kind of tick her off a little bit because I'll just be like singing in my head or whatever, and then I'll start mumbling it or whatever, and then she'll be like, Connor, I haven't heard that song in 10 years. And then she puts it on her cue list, so when she leaves, she'll put it on the
Oh,
her
yeah.
car. So yeah, this is it. I definitely I listen to a lot of music. So
Huh.
mhm.
For somebody that maybe hasn't gotten into Christian music yet, what's a couple artists that you would recommend first for them to get into?
Yeah, definitely. Forrest Frank is a big one. I
Yep.
love Forrest Frank. He is amazing with how he writes his music, and
Mm,
he speaks not only just on music, but you see him on Instagram or Facebook, and
mm,
he's definitely very inspiring to hear about what he has done in his life and how
mm.
he's radically changed. Brandon Lake currently is another one that I really like. Um, a little more country, but he's
Right.
definitely uh, a big one. I don't know. We went to a Ren Collective concert, so
Yep.
I've been listening to a lot of Ren Collective ever since we went to that. You were there too, weren't you?
I don't think I was.
Back in October. Oh, it might have
Oh,
been
oh.
Mike.
Um, hold on. Wait, well, we did the Unspoken. We went to
Oh, okay,
Unspoken.
okay, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Unspoken's another really good one that I
Yeah,
really
that's
like.
true.
Yeah, yeah. So there's you really can't go wrong,
Mm,
honestly, on what you like and what you don't.
mm.
So
Now I'll have to ask you
yeah.
this, and I don't know if you'll know this, but is there any specific artists that maybe at this point people have realized they're not actually Christian? There was this huge thing, I don't know, like 6 months ago. There's a couple artists, I won't say who, that were Christian. Turned out not to be so. But I guess has there been anyone you've listened to before that you're like, I'm not quite sure.
Just recently, actually, within like the past year and a half, maybe 2 years. I don't
Okay.
know. We went to a Need to Breathe concert,
Okay.
and I looked into it a little bit,
Sure.
and um, they definitely like testify that they don't. They're like more into like the country music
Mm.
sort of area than they are Christians, like Christian music
Sure.
sort of thing. Um, so definitely that, but I think a lot of it too is, of course, if there's like no swears in it or anything like that, you can relate that to Jesus, including in like Need to Breathe songs, with
Mm,
Testify and all those things. I I don't know of a lot of people that really don't believe in Christ, but
right.
uh have Christian songs, I
Sure.
guess. But like I said, I feel like if you can relate that to your life and how Jesus is in your life, then I don't see anything wrong with that.
Mm. So it's more of how you take the song
Yeah,
rather than
absolutely.
the exact purpose of why the
Mhm.
song was written. I like that. That's good. Now, when did faith become real for you? Was there a moment or was it kind of a slow build?
I say a little bit of both.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. So faith has been really hard up
Mm.
until, I don't know, my senior year of high school. I knew who God was, but I didn't
Sure.
really dive into His Word, even when we were in church group,
Yeah, youth
yeah,
group.
youth group. Yes, did not read the Bible as much as I should have
Mm.
back then, and high school was tough. You're always trying to fit in, and
Mm.
so Jesus really wasn't a priority. You
Mm.
know, as much as he should be.
Right.
And mom and dad have always pounded that in my head that we need Jesus as number one in our lives. That's how we run our household.
Mm.
You know, um, but definitely it was very slow in getting our relationship going during the beginning of my life. I'm 21 now, 20. I've only really been diving real deep in the Bible for the past 3.5, 4 years.
Mm.
Definitely was really slow in the beginning.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything that radically changed in my
Sure.
life, that should have been in a Christian's household. And then I think it was 2 years ago from October,
Okay. Yep.
one of my buddies that I sat next to in high school decided to commit suicide.
Mm.
When he decided to do that, we ended up going to his funeral,
Mm.
and there was so many people there that I saw during high school that just looked lost, that didn't know the word, and um, just asking what happens next, you
Mm.
know, and that was definitely a huge eye opener to me, which was like, man, I should have evangelized more in high school.
Mm.
I should have done this better. I should have done that. And I think that's a part of the grieving process too.
Mm.
But um, there was so many times where I could have evangelized in high school, and instead I sat there and tried to fit in, try to be the most popular guy,
Sure.
because it's always a popularity contest in high
Yep.
school. Instead, I sat there and pretty much did nothing about uh, people and their faith. I think right at that moment, I started getting really close with Jesus. And even before that, I was getting close with Jesus, but
Yeah.
kind of that little shock, kind of just boosted
Mm.
um, my love for Jesus, and the way he lives in my life. So
Mm.
definitely.
This brings up a really great point, which is a lot of people are talking about our school system,
Hmm.
um, and the fact that it needs reform. You went through high school. Were you also in it through middle school?
Yeah, I was in public school all except 1 year where I went to Hebron Academy in 6th grade, but that
Okay.
was about it.
Now I gotta ask, how was that? Do you
Yeah,
remember much?
yeah. I do. It was probably one of the most memorable years I had, not because, um, maybe it's because I'm a public schooler. I don't know, but definitely Hebron Academy, like, uh, would teach us more survival
Oh, okay.
outdoorsy things, and then all of the core stuff you had to do. But there was a lot more room to play than
Mm,
there is in public school. So it was definitely a change. But like I said, I only went there for 1 year, so I don't
sure.
remember a lot of it.
Were there any teachers that you had that really spoke into your life and maybe helped guide you a little bit, almost like a mentor?
Yeah, so I'd say really not until my junior year I had anybody that I could go and talk to.
Mm,
And then my junior year went around and I met this teacher. His name is Mr. Blanchard. Really nice guy. So he was a really nice mentor, and
mm,
he definitely was more of a playful guy.
mm,
Um Definitely made high school a lot more easier, including on those times where, you just need a booster. You
mm.
just head in his classroom during lunchtime, even when I didn't have him during my senior year. And he was just always there to talk if I needed to talk.
Mm,
And he was always there to just be that kind of guy to mess around with, fool
sure.
around with. And he'd always go along with it. And I still have a good relationship with him
That's
now.
awesome.
Yeah. Hmm.
So has that, I guess, rubbed off on you a little bit to be like, when a friend has a problem, just to kind of be there for them, just to be able to hear them out?
Yes and no,
Sure.
because I try and, you know, when a friend is in need, I try and base everything off of what Jesus says
Right.
now, right? And I know Blanche didn't really do that at the time,
Mm,
but like I said, he was really good. Like he knew what to say at during the hard times. Blanche knew what was going on in the high school too.
mm.
So he knew, what the next step was, whether that's go to a guidance counselor, which I would just go to someone in the church that I trusted instead. But I mean,
Yeah.
it's like the same thing,
Okay.
you know, um, except for, it's not like Christ's love
Right.
going to you. So it's different, but um he definitely was one of those people that if you had anything you needed, you come talk to him.
What are maybe some fond memories you have of youth group?
Man, fond memories I have of youth group. There is a lot. There's a lot. Um, Man, where do I start? Uh, well, let's start in the beginning.
Okay, let's do this.
I remember we were before this church was even here. I
Yep.
remember it just being that one building in there, and we used
Yep.
to have group in there throughout the summertime. And one of my best memories I've had in there. Maybe it's not the best for other people. Sorry, Mike. Sorry, Tim, if you're watching this. But one of my favorite memories was we were playing some sort of go-kart game in inside.
Oh
And,
yeah.
like it was smaller than a go-kart. Like I don't know, just
Was it
barely.
like the hoverboard thing with the
Like, you had
sticky
steering
sat?
wheels.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah, yeah. And, like, it was just small enough to fit your butt in, and you could steer, and that's it, right? And Jade and I were in there, and we were trying to get first place.
Yeah.
And this is a part of, like, youth group was competitive, right?
Yep.
You had to be first for
Yep.
some reason.
I know.
I don't know if it's for the pride or what. We always just had to be first wherever it
Yep.
was, right?
Yep.
We take the go-karts or whatever it was, and we're doing circles around it, and then all of a sudden I hear bang. I look behind me, and Jane just smashed into one of the cabinets, and like his fist was like completely through it. And while I'm looking back, I'm laughing at him, and then all of a sudden I smoke the wall, and then all you can see is just this like red line going across the wall,
Oh
and
my
with like a
word.
shadow of my body on the wall. And I just remember that phone call later that night that I had to have with, I don't remember if it was Tim or Mike. I had to talk to him. I was like, Mike, I'm real sorry, man. Like we were having some fun at youth group and we kind of messed up. And oh man, he was good about it, and I was like, I don't have the money to pay for this. I don't
Yeah.
know, I don't know
Um,
what I'm gonna do.
oh my
So
word.
yeah, there was a lot of good memories at group that I remember
Mm,
having, and that was a big cornerstone of my life. I'm
mm,
glad I had those mentors in group that were able to guide me through high school, even though
mm,
I might not have listened to them
mm.
some of the time. They always had the best advice.
Mm,
So yeah, it was. If it wasn't for youth group, I wouldn't be where I am today. So
mm.
I'm definitely grateful for that.
For somebody who isn't a Christian yet, maybe a new believer,
Mhm.
and they're maybe mid-teens, and they're kind of in that age youth group's an option for them. Um, they haven't gone yet. Maybe they're decide they want to, but they just haven't committed and gone
Yeah.
and been a part. Can what would be one reason to go? What's something that they would definitely benefit from going,
Hmm.
and then maybe something you'd be able to tell them to make them finally go?
There's such good advice in
Mm,
there for young adults that are trying to uh get past high school and
mm,
figure out what they're doing for college or whatever. It definitely puts um Jesus on the map for people that don't know who Jesus is, and it
mm,
shows the love of Jesus to them.
mm,
It's definitely one of those places where you can go and be vulnerable
mm,
to one of your youth group leaders, even if that's like you just got to take them to the side and talk to them about something.
mm,
You can do that, and I know just from my experience, every leader that I've had was such a big help in my life.
mm.
And definitely for the people that just don't know about going. I know when I was there, at least 2 years ago now, three.
Probably
Yeah,
about 3, yeah.
man, that's
It's
that's tough to
crazy.
say. I'm getting old. No, but like the first hour is just all having fun.
Mm,
You have games that you can play, including in the summer. You have amazing amount of games that you can play.
yeah.
Um, and you run around and get all your energy out, and then you can kind of calm down
Mm,
once you get in there, and it's just all about the love of Jesus. And I know there was usually a message. Uh,
yeah,
yeah, I'm guessing there is
yeah,
still, but
yeah, similar
yeah,
format.
including those video messages that we used to do from that North or South Carolina church.
Yeah, was it oh no, it's not Switch. It's Switch. It was
Yeah, yeah,
Switch.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Those were really good.
Mm,
And just the experience with Jesus that they were talking about, and even the people in here that are just talking about their experience with Jesus and how
mm,
they walked, and their messages that they say, it is very inspiring to hear. It definitely is. Yeah.
mm. You mentioned something earlier, and I forgot to come
Yeah.
back to it. To evangelize, um, in high school,
Mhm.
how would you describe the word evangelize to someone who doesn't understand anything about being a Christ follower?
Yeah, so evangelizing Jesus is just telling the word to people that don't know it. Yeah.
Mm,
I don't really know if that's a definition or not to
sure,
it, but
but
that's kind of how I go about saying that. Definitely evangelizing in Oxford Hills might be, and just every public school might be the most important thing that you do. Not
mm,
because the difference between me now and me when I was in high school, the only difference between it, I don't talk to as many people. And I'm
mm,
trying not have a popularity contest on me 24/7 either.
sure.
But like there are, I know at least in Oxford Hills there was 1,000 kids that went um
Wow,
during my time there. At least we had one of the biggest classes
wow.
with like 300 something
Hmm,
in it. Um so definitely evangelizing Jesus in the high school is going to be the best place that you can at least do it, because people are trying to fit in, and trying to fit
mm,
in the church would be the best option for them.
mm,
Um and I know people don't understand sometimes, and it's definitely harder as um a high schooler, because
sure.
you're always like, oh, I got such a life to live in front of me. I don't
Yeah,
need God. I have 70 years to do that. Or like in the high school I have 65 or something like that,
sure.
right? You never know, but like as soon as I left high school, it was a huge eye opener to me. It's like I don't have that long to live, and
Mm,
and that was a lot of what I was talking to you about earlier, and um two other people uh in my high school ended up passing away too.
mm,
There was a kid below me and a kid above me too. Um, so there is a lot of people that just think they have a long life to live, and then something happens like this, and it's like, wow, this can change in a complete instant. You know,
mm,
um, so definitely um, that, and there's a switch, definitely including if you're going into uh work right out of high school.
Mhm.
I definitely, because I definitely had it for me. Um, like thinking to myself, wow, is this it? Like
Mm.
this is all I'm working towards throughout
Mm.
high school, and that kind of threw me into a little bit of a depression, but not long at all because I started enjoying what I do, you
Mm.
know. And but during like the switch, because I graduated and then a week later I started full time with my dad, and trying to take over his business.
Mm.
But it was definitely like a little bit through that summer because we graduated in June, and I don't know, until like mid July, I was definitely thinking to myself like, this can't be it. This
Mm.
can't be it to what life's all about. But now that I have a girlfriend that I want to turn into my wife one day, and all of this stuff that I have going on in my life, it's not just to me like this is it for life. It's more like I get to provide for not only my family, but for anybody who really needs it,
Mm.
including like the church,
Mm.
and um that message from Mike last week was definitely an eye opener about
Mm.
giving, um that I really liked. But just some of that stuff, Um
Mm.
so there's definitely a little switch that
Sure.
I was not not like depressed about, but I wasn't like feeling great about it either.
Mm.
Yeah.
You're now a leader at the young adults group
Mhm.
for small group
Yeah.
leaders,
Yeah.
where I was getting to, my brain jumped ahead. How did that come about?
Yeah, so I don't really know. Definitely uh shocker to me when someone asked me that.
Mm.
And uh I think it was Nathan that
Okay.
asked me that. Um but I'm very happy about doing it. I get to see some of my closest friends get to come to Jesus,
Mm.
which is awesome. I really love seeing that. And there are challenges, but
Mm.
there's nothing that leader really can't handle,
Yeah.
um but definitely including this past week, there's definitely been a lot of questions
Sure.
that you just don't know how to answer.
Mm.
That was probably my one of my biggest challenges.
Mm.
But just overall, I really like um, leading people closer to Jesus. I love doing that. I love seeing all my guys get into the Bible and start plucking out things of the Bible that they really like, that they were curious about and stuff like that. So that's definitely one of those things where it's like, yeah, come on, give it to me. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. What are you guys doing right now in your small group?
So we're going through Luke right now,
Okay.
and we just ended up finishing a video series on Luke. So we're kind of recapping all that
Mm.
right now. Um, so we're going two chapters at a time right now, but we're plucking out things that we really like. We're on the fifth and sixth this week, but I know the third and the fourth, um, uh, everybody was raving about Jesus getting tempted by the devil
Mm.
in in the wilderness,
Yep.
and um everybody was plucking out things over there. And I think that's a pretty awesome thing too, because it's like um he's had to experience everything we've had to experience. He's been
Mm.
tempted by everything, and he overcame that. And that was
Mm.
a one of my guys said that the other day. They were like, and that's the what do you say? That's the great part about Jesus. He's overcame everything, and
Mm.
you know if Jesus did it, you can do it too.
Mm.
And I thought that was a pretty cool thing.
Mm.
Mhm.
What's something that you've been able to take away as a small group leader that you've been able to apply to the rest of your life? Something you learned from being a leader.
It's definitely a step up of
Mm.
where I was, just going out and being myself. Yeah, I don't really know. Maybe a little bit of temptation
Sure.
with like trying to be my old self, trying to like fit
Mm.
in.
Was there something that surprised you being a leader? there anything that you got into it and were doing it for a little while, like, "Oh, I didn't realize I had to do this," or
Definitely one of my struggles with youth group or young adults group
Yep.
is um reading. Like stuff
Okay.
I don't really care about reading, you know. um and um Jim says it really good that you always got to be the most prepared person
Yep.
for a group. And um I would read it and I think to myself, I don't want to read this like
Mm.
anymore. And then I like force myself to go back and read the whole chapter again. So I usually get it down twice in a week.
Okay.
What I would do, and coming up with questions was definitely a struggle too.
Mm.
Um, Questions that I want to ask in the group because I'm trying to apply it to my life, but I'm trying to apply it to theirs too.
Mm.
So that's definitely one. Um, that was more of a struggle, but
Mm.
other than that, I mean, they're pretty easygoing guys. So
That's
yeah.
good. That's good. One thing that I've been thinking about recently as, um, in my small group is right, not obviously, you're the leader of the small
Yeah.
group, right? You're like, "Okay, final say of whatever,"
Mhm.
but, obviously trying to get their opinions of what they wanna do next and what they wanna learn and what they're taking away from things, just trying to prod them.
Yeah, yeah,
Get things out of
yeah,
them, right? Just to see what they're learning. But I also have come to this realization that, right, I'm the same age as them. I've grown up with them.
yeah.
Um, how do you balance being the leader, but then also being a peer?
So I know definitely for me, I don't like being the guy that pushes everybody.
Right.
You know,
Mm.
I don't like trying to um, be this kind of guy that's like, oh, Connor just wants us to do it, so we'll just do it, sort of
Yeah.
thing. Like, I don't want that to happen. So I usually I'll let them have their say on stuff, and I I definitely will just go with it because I don't want them to think that I'm this sort of guy that's, just like, no, we're doing this
R-
instead, sort of
Yeah.
thing. Um,
Yeah.
so that's definitely been
Hmm.
one of those things, yeah.
How's it been with keeping your small group motivated to be able to do whatever you're doing, your study, like you just finished up Luke.
Mhm,
How has it been somewhat easy with finding stuff that they actually like to do and they come to you every week and they're
mhm.
like, I really loved what we did this week.
We ended up losing a person and
Okay.
getting a person. It was really hard for me in the beginning because there was two people new to group and Jesus overall. And by that time we were already reading Respectable Sins.
Okay.
And um I wanted to finish the book with the guys, but I also didn't want the newer people in the group to feel like I don't know what this guy's talking about,
Right.
you know? And that was a big challenge during the beginning. Because they just didn't know. I had to talk with Mike about this a little bit. You got to start from um their level and then work up,
Hmm.
and which is good. I'm glad because there's still even stuff I don't know about Jesus that I'd like to know. I'd like
Hmm.
to dive more into it, and going through the Gospels are one of those things where I love doing. I love seeing his miracles and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So um it's definitely one of those things, and we started getting a pace on with these videos that we've been doing. Now that we're going through Luke, I remember one of them saying, "Man, Connor, I really love like this book in the Bible." And he was picking out things about it, and that was really encouraging to see.
Hmm.
So I definitely like that.
So for you, you say you don't really like to read.
Yeah.
What's what's your best learning style? Like you said, you're doing videos.
Mhm.
Do you like also like podcast editing, like just throwing on a podcast when you're doing something?
It kinda depends on what I'm learning about too.
Okay,
But, if we're talking specifically about, Jesus and stuff like that,
sure.
I I will read. Like, the Bible is probably one of the only things I like reading, you
Okay.
know? Which is a good thing, and a bad thing at the same time.
Yeah.
Seeing podcasts and stuff the podcast we're doing right now,
Yep.
um, is definitely a good eye opener too about, learning about other people's lives and what they've had to go through
Mm,
and seeing or hearing about what their change was coming to Jesus is
mm.
definitely um a big eye opener.
What's one area of your faith that has grown ever since you became a young adult leader?
I'd like to say definitely my knowledge on Jesus. I don't want to say like I was unknowledgeable about
Sure.
Jesus, like I definitely knew him and was diving into reading, but definitely like, trying to get things down,
Mm,
trying to like answer all the questions I could before I get to group was definitely one of those things where it's like, all right, not only am I like learning it for them, but I'm learning
right.
it for myself too. So in other areas of life,
Mm.
I'd be able to, um, talk about Jesus a lot more and a lot more confidently too than I would a couple years ago.
I want to jump into serving a little
Hmm.
bit. You're part of the parking team.
Asphalt apostles, but yeah.
I love that. Asphalt apostles?
Asphalt apostles. That's what we're
Maybe
calling
sometimes
ourselves. It's gonna catch on, church. Mhm.
it's coming. We'll get t-shirts.
Yes,
We'll do
absolutely.
we'll do t-shirts. Coming soon. You can go buy one, link in the description of this video.
The bright green ones and
Yeah, there
yeah,
we go.
yeah.
We'll do like a road on the back.
Yeah.
How did you start serving? Was there someone who grabbed you, "Hey, we need this," or did you just jump in?
Actually, yeah, Ben grabbed me. I was like, "Yeah, you joined the parking team." But, no, it it was fun. I we've been doing parking for the fairgrounds for
Yes, that's
a
right.
long time now, and I always loved doing that with my buddy.
Mm,
Um, so, um, me and him ended up signing up for, the parking team, and yeah, we love doing it.
mm.
Um, it's a little awkward when you gotta, like, tell somebody to, straighten out, and they're like, "What?"
Stop giving Connor a hard time, all right?
Yeah.
We know who you are.
Um, but, other than that, everybody's usually really good about, straightening out and parking.
Okay.
Um, there's always one person out of, 400 that, like, you ask them to readjust, and then all of a sudden, it's, like, 5 times. They gotta readjust. Like, you got it the first time, like, you're good. But seriously, it's really no problem. I really love doing it.
Hmm.
It makes it a lot more funner when I got, you know, people I like, which is everybody,
Yeah,
but having those 3 people or 4 people out there,
sure.
that you can hang around with when the parking's slow or whatever for the
Mm,
first 15 minutes of it,
yeah.
it's definitely like one of those things, including when it's freezing and all you think about is like the cold and you're being like really cold and you're like shivering. There's at least somebody else there that's like, you going ice fishing this week or something like that, to like calm down everything. So yeah.
Mm.
Definitely that.
I just thought of this. Did you guys, your family, ever go to a different church? Have you
N
guys gone to a couple or just to Mossbrook?
Yeah, so Moss Brook is really the only ones, like, here that we went to,
Okay.
when we went down to Florida, we went down to a different church, the Sanibel Island Church, which was really good, they have a really great church over there. Unfortunately, all of their stuff got wiped out during their
Oh,
hurricane
wow.
Hurricane Ian, like, in '22 or whatever,
Wow.
so Um, they don't have like any drums or anything. But it's a lot of like slower music, a lot of the like old population,
Sure.
sort of people that are in there. But um, yeah, they got a really good pastor over there. That we went to go and see. It was actually funny. I got a little story.
All right, let's do it.
So the first time we ever went to this church, was back in 2019. No, it was earlier than that. Maybe it was 2018.
Okay.
Um, so in 2018, we went there for the first time, and by that time I think it was like 12. So I was like, Mom, I don't really want to go. I don't want to do this. Like, and um, we ended up going anyways. Within the first 5 minutes, they got done with like 2 songs, and their pastor came up and thanked everybody, and they
Yep.
said, and I just like to give a special thank you to the Vice President Mike Pence coming here, and he, like, stood up and started waving, and I was like, "What? What?" And I was like,
Wow.
"No way, no way," and, like, this is probably wrong, but during during prayer, like, everybody was praying, and I kinda, like, stood up trying to, like, see, and, like, Secret Service is looking at me, and it was like so that was definitely, like, one of those times where he's like, "Yeah, we're going here every week now that, yeah, once we go on
Yeah.
vacation or whatever," but, yeah, that
Wow.
was definitely something cool.
That's
Mm,
pretty cool.
mm.
So the Secret Service have you on a list, like,
Yeah,
watch out for
probably
Connor.
Connor Fitz is a little suspicious.
Yeah. So I'm gonna change paths a little bit. You finished up high school, and now you're working in your it's your dad's
Yep.
business. What exactly is it? What are you doing on a day-to-day as well?
I'm trying to take over my dad's business right now. He's got a couple years left. I'll give it to him, but he's getting there though. No, um,
Well,
so,
how
um, so definitely for a day-to-day basis. Right now it's a little slow.
Sure.
It's winter time.
Yeah.
Um, but right now what we're doing is bear baiting, and
Mm.
we do mixes
Mhm.
to sell for people that wanna shoot bear,
Mhm.
and feed them.
Sure.
And so we'll it's a lot of manual labor,
Yeah.
but it's 60 degrees in there, so it's a lot better than working outside.
Yeah.
So on our day-to-day basis, that's what we're usually doing right now. But during the summertime is usually when we have um our best business going,
Mm.
and we pretty much we do sunrooms and screen rooms and
Mm.
patio covers, and we go to different campgrounds, and they're kind of like an add-on
Sure.
to campers, and
Okay.
like seasonal campers
Yeah.
that want to stay there.
Yeah.
And yeah, you meet a lot of interesting people on the road. um but yeah, including when you're not in Christ-centered area,
Yeah.
like working, it's definitely very hard to stay on the right path when everybody else is going the opposite direction.
Mm.
So it's definitely a give and take, but
Mm.
that's a part of growing too.
Mm. What has it been like, working there?
It's been a lot of ups and downs.
Sure.
Like I said, the first couple of months was very hard for me.
Mm.
Getting into the swing of things, or like how I'm gonna work for the next 10 years or whatever. I don't know.
Sure.
But definitely now it is so much more calmer, so much more easier.
Mm.
Um, there's nobody that really, like, um you can go out and talk to about anything.
Mm.
So that's the kind of, like, bad part. You don't have someone by your side doing that. But luckily now we ended up hiring one of my best friends last year, so, and he recently came to Christ too.
Awesome.
And he's definitely been a big help on the
Mm.
road. Um he rides in the same vehicle as me.
Mm.
I ended up driving a box truck, so he's
There you
right next
go.
to me whole time, and I can always talk to him about something. So that
Mm.
that was a huge help for me this past year, which was awesome.
How has faith helped you with being in that situation on a normal basis?
Faith has helped me a lot during the struggles, and
Yeah.
uh, you know, I I don't know how to answer some of these hard questions that non-believers sometimes give me. Basing my faith off of Jesus, and, learn like I said, learning more, and
Yeah.
like being this leader where I have to, like, kind of want to know stuff so I
Right.
can be able to answer questions to the best of my ability, have
Mm.
helped me out a lot, a crap ton, and I
Mm.
love it. Um but definitely, if it wasn't for my faith right now, it would definitely be a lot different, because I would be
Mm.
stumped in a lot of questions that they would give me. Um, yeah, it's definitely a hard time because they don't know Jesus, and of course that's the one thing you're trying to get to is
Mm.
how Jesus Christ has radicalized your life in a good way. So.
Mm. What's the father-son relationship
Yeah,
like?
so we don't really work on the road together, so
Okay.
we don't usually see each other much other
Okay.
than when we're at home. Um, but I it's a struggle and it's not at the same time.
Mm.
Um, I struggle with, trying to listen to my dad. And I know he's my dad and stuff like that, and I should listen to him. I end up do listening to him, and, he's taught me a lot of stuff, and,
Mm.
luckily I've had, there's a guy there that's been working for 15 years that,
Wow.
has definitely been like a father figure to me,
Mm.
um, just like in a non-Christ relationship way.
Sure.
Uh,
Yeah.
but definitely he has helped me out a lot too because dad's usually more on the sales side and
Yep.
the like, there's a leak in one of the rooms and then he's the one to go and fix it.
Okay.
And we're more of just like the building
Right.
all of the sunrooms and the decks and all that stuff. So definitely learning from him was a big help in where I am today. Mhm.
Mm. So you've been dating for a while now.
I have.
What has this season of life look like with dating?
Yeah, so it's definitely really hard for me
Okay.
in the really um like from May to September because that's when we're full go, right?
Mm.
And when you get back at 4 o'clock, you are tired.
Mm.
You want to go to bed, you know? And, and um Evelyn understands that and I'm very grateful for her that she does. And um I know she wants to do stuff
Yep.
too because
Yep.
she is part-time at her work right
Mm.
now,
Okay.
and she also goes to college at CM.
Mm.
So, the time she isn't at work, she's usually at my house,
Mm-hmm.
and um, it's definitely a lot of understanding for her that I am very tired when I get home and I don't really want to do anything.
Yeah.
Um, but it's also an a struggle for her and it's a give and take every day,
Mm.
and sometimes I'll have to get up and do stuff with her,
Right.
which is great. I
Mm.
I really like making memories with her.
Mm.
But on the weekends is usually our time to
Sure.
go out and do stuff together. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah. So, how have you been able to kind of work out that schedule? Have the like talking with her,
Mhm.
like, "Hey, I'm getting home, and I'm gonna be tired. Sometimes I'm just not gonna want to do something." How have you been able just to have a conversation and understand both person's point of view?
Yeah. So we've definitely had this conversation a couple of times and um during the beginning of our relationship, we didn't have that understanding with each other,
Mm.
and it was definitely a lot more of like bicker about
Sure.
it more than anything. But you know, we ended up sitting down and talking things through. And oh man, ever since then it's been a lot better
Mm.
because um it's more the understanding part than it is anything else.
Mm.
It also helps too. Um Evelyn has uh three 3 days a week that she needs to work, and we usually don't see each other then too. So we'll kind of make it a routine. Like we don't see each other on say Monday,
Sure.
then we'll do something on Tuesday,
Sure.
and I it's usually like Sunday, Tuesday, Friday, or something like that.
Mm.
So we'll usually go out and do something. Then Tuesday and Fridays I can go and relax and stuff like that. So it's definitely one of those things where it's like, um, I she usually wants to be by her pool. So I mean, we'll usually just go out there and hang out most of the time.
Mm.
And I just mainly don't want to do do anything. Like I want to sleep. So I'll just like, go out there and take a nap or something like that. But it's definitely a lot of understanding for both sides of
Mm.
us. So
Has Connor hit ung status?
how I might have hit on status. I don't know. I maybe I have. I don't. My back's starting to hurt and everything. So
Yeah.
no.
Oh, it's bad, man. But with that, because you ended up sitting down and having that difficult conversation,
Mhm.
um, first, I know there's gonna be people out there like I just really don't want to have this difficult. There's something going on. I don't want to have this difficult conversation.
Mm.
Why is it worth it?
Yeah. So if we haven't talked anything through, we would not be together right now.
Mm.
Um, that has been the priority of our life, um, of our dating life.
Yeah.
We have said this from the beginning of our relationship. We need to talk everything through. If we have a problem with each other, we need to talk it through.
Mm.
Um, there is so much struggle in dating that I did not know would come into it
Sure.
until we started dating.
Mm.
And it's a good struggle because we have to understand each other more and more every day.
Mm.
And um talking it through is probably one of those forefronts where it's like we understand each other a little bit more every day by doing that. You
Mm.
know, if she doesn't like something, she says it, and I'll have to take that and I'll have to apply it to not
Yeah.
only when she's around, but when she's not around and
Mm.
I'm hanging out with my buddies or whatever.
Mm.
And, like I think it's funny, but she doesn't,
Mm.
completely cut it off. I don't want to do it.
Mm.
So,
How is referencing the Bible, especially with your faith in dating, it's super helpful. But
mm,
being able just to reference, like, hey, maybe she comes to you with something she doesn't think is quite right, and then you guys can both look at the Bible and be like, okay, is this?
yeah. So pretty much everything we talked about is very biblically in what is going on with our lives that,
Mm.
we don't really like about each other. And that is a lot of understanding and, time and
Mm.
prayer, like sitting in prayer with her. And we don't do it as much as we should, but definitely one of those things where it's like we need to read the Bible together, we need to pray together,
Mm.
and we just need to be in that place where not only me but her can be satisfied at the same time. And um that's going to be throughout our relationship between now and being married until we're dead.
Mm.
If that's the way God sees it.
Right.
So
Mm.
definitely
Mm. Connor, I've got a few rapid fire
go
questions
for it.
for you. Coffee or energy drink?
Energy drink. I hate coffee.
Oh,
Mm.
wow. Mountains or ocean?
I'm gonna go ocean. I'll go ocean. Mm.
Okay. Sand or snow?
Sand easily. Mm.
Okay. That's the first person.
Really,
Early morning or late night?
I'm an early morning.
Okay.
Hmm.
Texting or phone call?
Texting. I hate phone calls. I don't like phone calls.
What is the one thing God has been teaching you recently?
Um, definitely, um, sitting down and praying about my worries that I
Hmm.
have.
What is one piece of advice you would give to your 9-year-old self?
Your mom knows best. I
Hmm.
know it may suck to admit it, but she does. She does. If you listen to her, you're gonna have a great life.
Hmm.
So
Now, I didn't ask you this because I asked you your the father-son relationship. What's the mother-son relationship?
yeah, it's really good. I love my mom. She's been the forefront of my relationship with Jesus. She's always taking me on the straight path.
Hmm.
I remember as a kid, there's a lot of stuff that I didn't like her doing, like, and I thought she was strict about it. But
Hmm.
now that, I'm more grown, I can see why she did it.
Hmm.
And, my 9-year-old self would hate it. But now that I look back at it, she was doing everything to better me, as a person
Hmm.
in life. And if it wasn't for my mom, I wouldn't be at this situation right here in the first place. So, yeah.
Hmm. Connor, thank you so much for coming on the
Thank
So
you.
What's the Point podcast. And guys listening, there's a lot that you can take away from this. So I recommend rewatch it, re-listen to this. There's a lot you can take away. Write some notes down from it. Go ahead, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. And we'll see you next time.